The Kalari ship Harmony's light spun slowly in the dark space between stars. Its crystal walls had cracks running through them like spider webs. Air leaked out into the empty space around them. Inside the ship, Captain Veltar looked at the broken control panels with his 4 eyes wide with fear. "How long do we have?" he asked his engineer. "Maybe 2 days before the air runs out completely," Kethra replied. Her blue skin had turned pale with worry. "The power core is failing too. We cannot fix it with what we have." Veltar touched the emergency beacon with one of his thin fingers. They had sent the distress call 3 days ago, the nearest Galactic. Council Station should have received it by now. Someone should be coming to help them. But space remained empty and silent. "Sir," called out their communications officer, "I am getting a response to our beacon." Finally, Veltar said, "Put it through." The voice that came through their speakers made all 12 crew members freeze. It was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. The language was harsh and strange. None of them had ever heard anything like it. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel Liberty's Edge. We have received your distress call and are moving to assist. Hang tight." Silence filled the bridge. Veltar felt his hearts beating faster. He looked at his crew and saw the same fear in their eyes that he felt in his chest. "Did he say human?" whispered their science officer. Kethra was already pulling up files on her working console. "Yes, humans are in the database. They are listed as a Class 12 Deathworld species." "Class 12? Veltar's voice cracked. "That is impossible. Nothing survives on Class 12 worlds. The database says their planet has weather that can kill, animals that hunt in groups, and disasters that happen every season. The file says their world is so dangerous that most council members think humans are just stories," Kethra read. "No one has ever seen them this far from their home system, or their system is marked as quarantined." Veltar stared at the communication panel. Stories told by traders spoke of Deathworld species being so violent and dangerous that they could not be allowed near civilized worlds, creatures that solved problems with force instead of thinking, monsters that ate other living things and enjoyed fighting. "Sir, we have a ship approaching on sensors called their navigator." "Show me," Veltar said. The main screen flickered to life. In the distance, a ship was coming toward them. But it looked nothing like the elegant vessels of the council races. This ship was all angles and flat surfaces. It looked like someone had taken metal plates and welded them together. Scars and burns covered its gray hull, instead of the smooth curves that help ships move through space easily. This vessel looked like it was built to smash through things. "That is not how you build a proper starship," Kethra said quietly. "Look at those weapon ports," the navigator added. "There are so many of them, and those are not energy weapons. Those look like ... like metal throwers." "Kinetic weapons," Veltar said with horror. "They use kinetic weapons. Only the most primitive species still use those." The human ship grew larger on their screen. Up close, they could see more details that made them afraid. The hull had holes that had been patched with different colored metal. Burn marks showed where weapons had hit it. This was a ship that had been in many fights. "Incoming transmission," their communications officer said with a shaking voice. "Put it on screen," Veltar ordered. The image that appeared made several crew members step backward. The creature looking at them had only 2 eyes, but they faced forward like a predator. Its skin was a strange pink color. Most shocking of all, it showed its teeth when it looked at them. Everyone knew that showing teeth was a sign of aggression. "Hello there," the human said. Its voice was still rough, but it sounded friendly. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. It looks like you folks are having some trouble." Veltar tried to speak, but no words came out. He had never seen a real Deathworlder before. The human was bigger than any Kalari, with broad shoulders and thick arms. Its face had lines and scars that showed it had lived through many dangerous things. "Do not be afraid," Captain Morrison said. "We are here to help." "Can you tell me what happened to your ship?" Finally, Veltar found his voice. "We hit a debris field. Our hull is broken. Our power core is failing. We sent a distress call to the council station." "Well, we got your call instead," Morrison said. "My crew and I know how to fix ships. We'll have you running again in no time. You want to help?" "Us?" Veltar asked. This did not match what the stories said about Deathworlders. Morrison looked confused. Of course, you are in trouble and we can help. That is what you do when someone needs help. On the screen behind Morrison, Veltar could see other humans moving around. They all looked strong and dangerous, but they were working together, calmly. One female human was looking at readings on a screen. Another male human was carrying tools. They did not look like monsters. They looked like people doing their jobs. We have never met humans before, Veltar said carefully. The database says your species is very dangerous. Morrison laughed. The sound was loud and strange, but not. Mean dangerous? I guess we can be when we need to be? But right now, you need help, and we can give it. That is all that matters. How did you get so far from your home system? Veltar asked. Morrison's face became sad. That is a long story. Short version is that we do not have a home anymore. We are looking for a new one. But first, let us fix your ship. The human captain turned to talk to someone off-screen. Lisa, how long do you think it will take to patch their hull and get their power working? A female voice answered. Give me 2 hours, Jake. Their technology is different, but the problems are basic. Hull breach, power coupling failure, and some blown circuits. Nothing we have not fixed before. You hear that? Morrison said to Veltar. 2 hours and you will be good as new. Veltar looked at his crew. They were all staring at the screen with wonder and fear. These humans did not act like the monsters from the stories. They acted like people who wanted to help. We do not have much to pay you with, Veltar said. Morrison waved his hand. We do not want payment. Just help the next person you meet who needs it. But why would you help strangers for nothing? Morrison was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Because we know what it is like to be lost in space with no one to help. Because doing the right thing should not cost extra. And because maybe someday, someone will help us when we need it. The human ship moved closer to the Harmony's light. Through the viewports, Veltar could see humans in spacesuits getting ready to come aboard. They moved with confidence, like they had done this many times before. Get ready to receive our repair team, Morrison said. And do not worry. My people know what they are doing. We have been fixing broken things our whole lives, is the communication. Ended, Veltar wondered what kind of world these humans came from. What could make beings so dangerous that other species feared them, but also so willing to help strangers? Soon he would find out that Deathworlders were not the monsters. The galaxy thought they were. There was something much more surprising than that. The airlock door opened with a loud clang that made every Kalari on the bridge jump. Heavy footsteps echoed through their ship as the human rescue team came aboard. Veltar and his crew pressed themselves against the walls, trying to stay out of the way. The first human through the door was a female with short brown hair. She wore a blue uniform that looked tough and practical. Tools hung from her belt, and she carried a large metal box in her hands. Behind her came a tall male human with dark skin and serious eyes. He moved like a hunter, always watching everything around him. I am Chief Engineer Lisa Hayes, the female said. Her voice was gentler than Captain Morrison's, but still strong. This is Security Officer Danny Clark. We are here to fix your ship. Veltar noticed that both humans had to duck their heads to fit through the doorways. The Harmony's light had not been built for such tall beings. Their boots made loud noises on the crystal floor with each step. Everything about them seemed too big and too heavy for the delicate Kolari ship. Your air smells funny, Danny said, sniffing. Is that supposed to be purple? Lisa looked at a small device in her hand. Toxic leak from the power core. Radiation levels are pretty high too, and look at all these warning lights. She pointed at the flashing red and yellow lights that covered every control panel. The Kalari crew had been terrified of these warnings for 3 days. Right. Danny, remember when we had to patch the reactor core with duct tape and prayer beads during the Proxima incident? Good times, Danny replied with a grin. At least this time we are not on fire. Veltar could not believe what he was hearing. These humans were talking about their deadly emergency like it was normal. The radiation levels that made his crew sick did not seem to bother them at all. Lisa walked right up to the damaged power core without any protection. Do you not need safety gear? Kethra asked in a worried voice. Lisa looked confused. Safety gear? For this? The radiation is not that bad. Back on Earth, we got more radiation from sunbathing. Earth, Veltar said. Your home world? Used to be, Danny said quietly. Not anymore. Lisa was already working on the power core. She used tools that looked simple and crude compared to colliery technology. Instead of the precise laser welders that proper engineers used, she had metal. Torches that made sparks fly everywhere. Instead of computer-guided repair systems, she used her hands to bend metal and connect wires. But somehow it worked. The warning lights started turning off one by one. How are you doing that? Kethra asked, watching in amazement. Doing what? Lisa asked, not looking up from her work. You are fixing our power core with primitive tools, but it is working better than our advanced systems. Lisa paused and looked at the Kalari engineer. Sometimes the simple way is the best way. When your planet tries to kill you every day, you learn to fix things fast with whatever you have. Meanwhile, Danny was working on the whole breach. He moved through the damaged sections of the ship like he had been there before. When he found the crack in the crystal wall, he just started welding it shut with a torch that seemed too hot and too bright. Wait, called one of the Kalari crew. Cannot just weld our biocrystal hull. Requires special treatment and precise temperature control. Danny looked at the alien with a confused expression. Why? It is just a crack. You seal the crack. The air stops leaking out. Pretty simple. But the crystal matrix could destabilize. The molecular structure could collapse. Has it collapsed yet? Danny asked. Well, no, but then it will be fine. Danny went back to welding. As they worked, more humans came aboard. A woman with red hair and kind eyes introduced herself as Medical Officer Amy Rodriguez. She went straight to the injured Kalari crew member who had been hurt when they hit the debris field. Let me take a look at that, Amy said gently. The injured. Kalari, whose name was Senth, tried to pull away. Please, I do not want to be eaten. Amy looked shocked. Eaten? Why would I eat you? I am a doctor. I help people get better. She opened her medical kit and pulled out instruments that looked nothing like proper medical tools. Instead of the clean, sterile devices that Galactic Council doctors used, Amy had metal tools that looked rough and basic. But her hands were gentle as she examined Senth's wounds. This is not too bad, she said. Some burns from electrical discharge and a broken bone in your arm. I can fix this. With those primitive tools? Senth asked fearfully. Amy smiled. These tools have saved more lives than you can count. Sometimes old ways work better than fancy new ones. She gave Senth an injection with a device that looked like it belonged in a museum. But within minutes, the Kalari's pain was gone, and his burns started healing. How is that possible? Veltar asked. Medicine should not work on our biology. Pain is pain, Amy said simply. Hurt is hurt. Bodies want to heal themselves. Sometimes they just need a little help. As the humans worked, Veltar noticed something strange. They all seemed to know how to do multiple jobs. When Lisa needed help with the power core, Danny put down his welding torch and helped her lift heavy parts. When Amy needed better light to treat Senth, Lisa rigged up extra lamps in seconds. When equipment needed to be moved, everyone pitched in without being asked. Do all of you cross-train in different jobs? Veltar asked Captain Morrison, who had come aboard to check on the repairs. Cross-train? Morrison looked puzzled. We just do what needs doing. On Earth, if you could not do multiple jobs, you did not survive long. But that is not efficient, Kethra said. Each person should specialize in one area to achieve maximum productivity. Morrison laughed. Tell that to a hurricane. When the storm hits, you need everyone who can hold a hammer to help fix the roof. You cannot wait for the specialist, Lisa called out from the power core. Jake, we have got power restored. Life support is back to full. Hull breach is sealed. Is good to go. The whole repair had taken less than 2 hours, just like she had promised. The Kalari crew stared at their restored ship in amazement. All the warning lights were off. The air smelled clean again. The crystal walls were solid and strong. I do not understand, Kethra said. Our best engineers said these repairs would take weeks in a proper shipyard. Your engineers probably never had to fix a ship while it was being shot at, Danny said, cleaning his tools. Or during a meteor storm, Lisa added. Or while the gravity generator was broken and everything was floating around, Amy chimed in. Morrison saw the confused looks on the Kaleri faces. We learned to fix things under pressure because our homeworld tried to kill us daily. When your planet has weather that can melt steel and animals that hunt in packs, you get good at improvising. Your world sounds terrible, Veltar said quietly. It was home, Morrison replied, with sadness in his voice, as the humans prepared. To leave, Amy gave Senth a small bottle of medicine. Take this if the pain comes back. It should last you several weeks. But we cannot pay you, Senth said. Did I ask for payment? Amy smiled. Lisa left behind a small device, so we'll monitor your power core. If it starts acting up again, this will tell you how to fix it. Why are you giving us this? Kethra asked. 'Cause next time we might not be around to help, Lisa, said Dot. Danny handed Veltar a small communicator. If you run into trouble again, use this. It will reach us if we are in range. As the humans walked back toward their airlock, Veltar called out, Wait, I do not understand. The database says your species is dangerous. You are violent and aggressive, but you have done nothing but help us. Morrison stopped and turned around. We can be dangerous when we need to be, but being able to fight and wanting to fight are different things. We fight when we have to. We help when we can. Right now, you needed help. But why help strangers? Veltar asked. What do you gain from this? Morrison was quiet for a moment. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Maybe someday, when we are in trouble, someone will remember that humans helped them once. Maybe they will help us back. The human captain paused at the airlock door. Or maybe helping others is just the right thing to do. Maybe that is reason enough. As the humans left, Veltar and his crew stood in their repaired ship trying to understand what had just happened. These Deathworlders had saved their lives, asked for nothing in return, and treated them with kindness. Everything they thought they knew about dangerous species was wrong. Outside, the human ship Liberty's Edge moved alongside them, ready to escort them to safety. Veltar began to realize that the galaxy's most feared species might actually be its most needed. The two ships moved through space together. The Liberty's Edge stayed close to the Harmony's light as they traveled toward the nearest safe station. Veltar felt better knowing the humans were nearby, even though he still did not fully understand these strange beings. Captain called his navigator. I am detecting multiple ships approaching fast. Veltar looked at the sensor display. 6 large vessels were coming straight at them. The ships were painted black and red with sharp edges and too many weapons. His heart sank when he saw the markings on their hulls. Zephyrian pirates, he whispered. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy as cruel raiders. They had advanced weapons and fast ships. They took what they wanted and destroyed anyone who tried to stop them. No merchant vessel could fight them and win. This is War Commander Krext of the Zephyrian raiding fleet. A harsh voice came over their communication system. Unknown aliens, your vessel appears to be constructed from scrap metal. You will surrender now, and we may allow you to serve as slaves. Veltar looked at the human ship on his screen. The Liberty's Edge looked small compared to the 6 pirate vessels surrounding them. Its patched hull and simple design made it seem helpless against the sleek Zephyrian warships. Should we surrender? Asked Kethra quietly. The humans cannot fight all of them. Before Veltar could answer, Captain Morrison's voice came through their speakers. His tone was calm and cold. Negative. This is your only warning. Stand down, or we will consider you hostile. Krext laughed. You dare threaten a scrap metal ship? You have 6 vessels with quantum plasma cannons. You have 1 ugly boat with primitive weapons. Surrender or be destroyed. Well, Morrison said, and Veltar could hear him talking to his crew.
Looks like
we have some uninvited guests who do not want to be polite.
Liz.
Through the communication link, Veltar heard other human voices. How many of them are there, Pete? Morrison asked. 6 ships, Captain, came the reply. Heavy cruiser class, plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, shield generators. Standard pirate setup. Any of them look particularly tough? The lead ship has extra armor, but nothing we have not seen before. Veltar could not believe what he was hearing. We're talking about fighting 6 advanced warships like it was a normal day at work. Lisa, how are our weapons? Morrison asked. All kinetic cannons loaded and ready. Railguns charged. We have plenty of explosive rounds. Amy, is everyone strapped in tight? Medical bay is secure, Captain. Have trauma kits ready just in case. Danny, you ready for some excitement? Always, Captain. Security teams are standing. Bye. Morrison's voice came back over the communication to the pirates. Last chance, War Commander. Leave now or things will get unpleasant. You amuse me, human, Crixith snarled. Let me show you what real weapons can do. The pirate ships opened fire all at once. Its bright beams of plasma energy and glowing quantum. Torpedoes streaked toward the Liberty's edge. Veltar closed his eyes, expecting to see the human ship vaporized, but when he opened them, the Liberty's edge was still there. Damaged, smoking, but still fighting. A direct hit on our starboard armor called out the human named Pete. Hull breach on deck 3. Shields are down to 60%. Damage report, Morrison said calmly. Nothing we cannot handle, Captain, Lisa replied. Rerouting power from non-essential systems. The Liberty's edge suddenly accelerated straight toward the pirate formation. Instead of trying to run or fight from a distance, the human ship charged right into the middle of the enemy fleet. What are they doing? Kethra gasped. That is suicide. No, Veltar said, watching in amazement. That is something else. The human ship fired its weapons as it charged. These were not energy beams like civilized species used. Heavy metal slugs shot out of the Liberty's edge at incredible speed. The projectiles smashed into the pirate ship's shields and punched right through them. Impossible, Crext H screamed over the communication. Our shields should stop kinetic. Weapons, Pete, Morrison called. Explain to our new friends how physics works. See, most species develop energy weapons because they are efficient and clean, Pete Williams said, his voice calm as explosions happened around them. Humans developed kinetic weapons because we needed to kill large angry things that did not want to die. Turns out, a chunk of metal moving fast enough will ruin anyone's day, no matter how advanced their shields are. One of the pirate ships exploded as a railgun slug tore through its reactor core. The Liberty's edge spun and fired at another ship, its weapons tracking multiple targets at once. But the human ship was taking damage too. Plasma beams burned through its armor. Quantum torpedoes exploded against its hull. Warning alarms filled the bridge. Captain, we are losing atmosphere on decks 2 and 4, called out a voice Veltar had not heard before. Sophie, seal those sections, Morrison ordered. Already done, Captain. Rerouting life support through the cargo bay. Our communication array just got fried, someone else reported. Tony, can you fix it? Give me 30 seconds, came the reply. I am rerouting it through the coffee maker. Veltar stared at his screen. The humans were fixing battle damage using kitchen equipment, while fighting 6 enemy ships at the same time. The Liberty's edge rammed one of the pirate vessels. The sound of tearing metal echoed through space. Both ships were damaged, but the human vessel kept fighting while the pirate ship spun out of control. Our main cannon is overheating, Lisa called out. Cool it down, Morrison said. With what? The coolant lines are cut. Use whatever you have. A few seconds later, Lisa laughed. Flushing the weapon with coffee from the mess hall. That should work. The main cannon fired again, sending another massive slug into a pirate ship's engines. The enemy vessel went dark and started drifting. 3 pirate ships were down. 3 more were still fighting, but now they were not so confident. How are they doing this? One of the pirate voices screamed over the communication. They should be dead. Pull back, Crext H ordered. Regroup and attack from maximum range. Right. The Liberty's edge did not let them retreat. The human ship chased after the pirates, firing continuously. Its weapons were not as advanced as the enemy's, but they never seemed to run out of ammunition. Danny Morrison called. Prepare boarding parties. Boarding parties, Veltar said in shock. They want to board enemy ships during battle? Team 1 is ready, Captain. Danny's voice came back. Team 2 is loading up now. Wait for my signal. The Liberty's Edge flew straight at the pirate flagship. Plasma beams hit it over and over, but the human ship kept coming. At the last second, it spun sideways and fired magnetic grapples at the enemy vessel. "Now," Morrison said. Veltar watched on his sensors as small groups of humans left their ship and flew through space toward the pirate vessel. They were crossing open space during a battle, with energy weapons firing all around them. "Are they insane?" Kethra whispered. "Probably," Veltar said, "but it seems to be working." The boarding parties reached the pirate ship and cut their way inside. Through the communication channels, Veltar could hear the sound of fighting, explosions, shouting, the harsh crack of human weapons. "Medical bay is secured," came Danny's voice. "Engine room is ours," called another human. "Bridge in sight." "They are trying to lock us out." "Tony, can you override their security?" "Already working on it, Captain. Their encryption is pretty basic." "How basic?" "I cracked it with my pocket calculator." Within minutes, the pirate flagship's own weapons turned. On the remaining enemy ships, Krex's voice came over the communication, full of panic and rage. "How are you accessing our systems? These are military-grade security protocols. We had hackers before we had computers," came Tony Miller's voice, calm and cheerful. "When you grow up on a world where the weather patterns are actively trying to kill you, you learn to turn every system into a weapon." The pirate fleet fell apart. 2 more ships were destroyed by their own flagship's guns. The last enemy vessel tried to run, but the Liberty's Edge caught it and disabled its engines with a perfectly placed shot as the smoke cleared. Veltar looked at the battle zone. 6 advanced pirate ships had been defeated by 1 human vessel. That looked like it was built in someone's garage. Liberty's Edge was badly damaged, with holes in its hull and fires burning in several sections, but it was still fighting. "All pirate vessels neutralized," Pete Williams reported. "Minimal casualties on our side." "Good work, everyone," Morrison said. "Lisa, damage report." "We will need some time in port for proper repairs, but we can keep flying. Nothing vital was hit." "Ah!" "Define vital," Morrison said with what sounded like amusement. "Well, we still have air, power, and coffee. Everything else is optional." As the humans began cleaning up the battlefield, Veltar realized something that made his blood run cold. These beings had just won a space battle against impossible odds, and they were treating it like routine maintenance. No panic. No celebration. Just another job finished. He was beginning to understand why the galaxy was afraid of Deathworlders. It was not because they were evil monsters. It was because they were so competent at violence that they made it look easy. The space around them looked like a graveyard of ships. Pieces of destroyed pirate vessels floated everywhere. The Liberty's Edge moved slowly through the debris, checking for survivors and useful salvage. Veltar watched the humans work and tried to understand what he had just seen. "How did they do that?" Kethra asked quietly. 6 advanced warships against 1 primitive vessel. "It should have been impossible. I do not know," Veltar replied. "But I think we need to learn more about these humans." On the communication channel, they could hear the human crew talking as they worked. "Danny, what is the status on the pirate flagship?" Morrison asked. "We have it secured, Captain. Most of their crew surrendered after we took the bridge. Few are still hiding in the lower decks, but they are not causing trouble. Any casualties on our side?" "Rick has a burn on his arm from a plasma blast. Amy is patching him up now. Everyone else is fine." Veltar shook his head in amazement. The humans had boarded an enemy warship during active combat, and only 1 person got hurt. How was that possible? "Captain Morrison," Veltar called over the communication. "May I ask you something?" "Sure, go ahead." "How did your people learn to fight like that?" "Your tactics were unlike anything I have ever seen." Morrison was quiet for a moment. "It is a long story. The short version is that Earth taught us some hard lessons about survival." "What kind of lessons?" "Well, let me give you an example. On Earth, we had animals called wolves. They hunted in packs and worked together to bring down prey much larger than themselves. We learned from watching them." Veltera did not understand. "You learned from animals?" "Everything on Earth was trying to kill us," Morrison explained. "So we learned from everything. Pack tactics from wolves, camouflage from chameleons, tool use from apes, Persistence hunting from our own ancestors. Hayes's voice came over the communication. Jake, we have got some interesting readings from the pirate ship's computer. Want to take a look? What kind of readings? Looks like they have been raiding this sector for months. They have hit dozens of ships, and they have been selling prisoners. To someone called the hegemony? Slavery, Morrison said, his voice becoming cold. I hate slavery. There is more, Lisa continued. According to their logs, they have a base hidden in the asteroid field about 2 light years from here, and they are expecting 3 more raiding fleets to arrive there soon. Veltar felt his heart skip a beat. More pirates? How many ships? It's like about 20 vessels total, Lisa replied, all armed and looking for trouble. We should report this to the Galactic Council, Veltar said. They can send a proper fleet to deal with the pirates. How long would that take? Morrison asked. Perhaps a few weeks to organize a response. Maybe a month. And how many more ships will the pirates attack in that time? Veltar realized what Morrison was thinking. You cannot be considering attacking their base. 20 ships against 1. We have done worse odds before, Morrison said calmly. But this is insane. You will all be killed. Maybe, but maybe not. And maybe we can save some lives in the process. Amy Rodriguez's voice came over the communication. Jake, I found something. In the pirate ship's medical bay, they have been keeping prisoners here. Living beings from at least 6 different species. Are they alive? Morrison asked. Barely. They are in bad shape, but I can help them. These pirates have been using them. As slaves and test subjects, Veltar heard Morrison's voice change. It became harder, colder. How many prisoners? 43 survivors that I can see. There might be more in other ships at their base. That settles it, Morrison said. We are going after their base, Captain. This is suicide, Pete Williams said over the ship's communication. 20 armed ships, fortified position, unknown defenses. We are good, but we are not magic. Yeah, I know the odds, Pete, but we cannot leave those prisoners to die. We cannot let these pirates keep raiding innocent ships. Veltar listened to the humans argue about their plan. What amazed him was that none of them were arguing against fighting the pirates. They were only discussing how to do it. What if we used the captured flagship as a decoy? Danny suggested. I can pilot it back to their base and make them think. We are returning from a successful raid. That could work, Lisa said. We modify the Liberty's Edge to look like salvage being brought back. Hide our weapons. Get close before they realize what is happening. What about the asteroid field? Sophie Martinez asked. That will give us cover, but it will also hide their defenses. We map it as we go, Tony Miller replied. Can hack their navigation beacons and get us a layout of the base. Morrison made his decision. We do it. Danny, take a crew and get that flagship running. Lisa, start modifying our ship to look damaged. Pete, plan our attack route. Everyone else prepare. For combat? Wait, Veltar called out. You are really going to attack 20 pirate ships? Yes, Morrison said simply. Why? You do not even know these prisoners. They are not your people. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was sad but determined. Because no one helped us when we needed it. Because no one answered our calls for aid when our world was dying. Because if we do not help them, who will? The next few hours were spent preparing for what seemed like an impossible mission. Veltar watched the humans work and marveled at their efficiency. They turned the captured pirate flagship into a perfect disguise. They modified the Liberty's Edge to look like a damaged wreck being towed for salvage. They planned attack routes and backup plans for their backup plans. You know, Kethra said quietly, I think these humans might actually succeed. How can you say that? Veltar asked. It is 20 ships against 1, because I have been watching them work. They do not think like we do. When we see a problem, we look for the proper solution. When they see a problem, they look for any solution that works. As they traveled toward the pirate base, Morrison explained more about human tactics to Veltar. Species develop warfare as an extension of their diplomacy, Morrison said. Formal battles with rules and proper procedures, humans developed warfare as an extension of hunting. We fight to win, not to follow rules. That sounds barbaric, Veltar said. Maybe it is, but it keeps us alive. They reached the asteroid field that hid the pirate base. Through the view screen, Veltar could see the massive space station built into a hollowed-out asteroid. Ships moved around it like insects around a nest. 20 armed vessels, just like Lisa had said. Final check, Morrison called to his crew. Everyone ready? Weapon systems hidden but ready, Pete reported. Boarding team standing by, Danny said. Medical bay prepared for casualties, Amy added. All systems green, Lisa confirmed. Morrison activated the communication to the pirate base. When he spoke, his voice had changed completely. He sounded like a different person. This is Acting Commander Zelmuth, returning with salvage and prisoners from successful raids, requesting permission to dock. Tony Miller had programmed the communication system to make Morrison's voice sound like the dead pirate commander. Deception was perfect. Permission granted, Commander, came the reply from the base. Docking Bay 7 is open. The disguised Liberty's Edge moved slowly toward the pirate station. Around them, 20 warships floated in defensive positions. Any one of them could destroy the human vessel if they suspected anything. This is either going to work perfectly, Morrison said quietly, or we are all about to die very quickly. As they approached the docking bay, Veltar saw human crew members moving through their ship. They carried weapons and war armor that looked rough and improvised, but they moved with confidence and purpose. Remember, Morrison told his crew, we are not here to fight fair. We are here to win. Use everything you learned on Earth. Be creative. Be unpredictable and bring those prisoners home. The ship entered the docking bay. Round them, pirate vessels filled the space, their crews unaware that death had just arrived wearing a friendly face. Veltar realized he was about to see how Deathworlders really fought when everything was on the line. The docking bay doors closed behind them with a heavy clang. The Liberty's Edge sat quietly in the pirate station, surrounded by enemy ships and hundreds of hostile aliens. But the humans moved through their vessel like they owned the place. Tony. How long before they realize? We are not who we claim to be, Morrison asked quietly. Maybe 10 minutes if we are lucky, Tony replied. Their security systems are scanning our ship now. When they do not find the right identification codes, alarms will start going off. Then we move fast. Danny, take your teams and find those prisoners. Lisa, you and Pete get to their power core. Sophie, secure the docking bay so no one can leave. Amy, set up a medical station for the prisoners. What about you, Captain? I am going to their command center to have a talk with whoever's in charge. The humans spread out through the pirate station like they had practiced this 100 times. They moved in small groups, using hand signals to communicate. There. Weapons were ready, but hidden. To anyone watching, they looked like crew members doing routine work. Veltar watched from the Liberty's Edge as the humans disappeared into the station. Should we help them? He asked Kethra. Help them do what? Fight an entire pirate base with our science equipment. Then what do? We wait. And we hope these crazy Deathworlders know what they are doing. Through the ship's communication system, they could hear the humans reporting as they moved through the station. Found the prisoner cells. Danny's voice came through. Amy, you need to get down here. These people are in bad shape. On my way, Amy replied. How many at least? 60. Maybe more. Different species, all of them hurt and scared. Power core located, Lisa reported. This thing is older than dirt, but it is big. If I overload it, this whole station goes up. Do not do that yet, Morrison said. We need time to get everyone out. Command center is just ahead, came Morrison's voice. I can see the base commander through the window. Ugly fellow. Lots of teeth. Get careful, Jake, Amy said. Remember what happened last time you tried diplomacy? That was different. This time, I am not asking nicely. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed everywhere. The pirates had discovered the deception. Well, so much for stealth, Pete said calmly. All ships are powering up weapons. They know we are here. Time to switch to Plan B, Morrison said. What is Plan B? Veltar asked. over the communication. Plan B is we stop pretending to be nice, Danny replied. The sound of explosions echoed through the station. Human weapons fired in short, controlled bursts. Pirates shouted and screamed as they discovered that the beings they thought were easy prey were actually apex predators. Prisoner base secured, Danny reported. Some of these people cannot walk. They are too weak. I will handle it, Amy said. I have medical stims that will give them strength for a few hours. Just enough to get them out of here. Power core is rigged to blow, Lisa announced. We have 15 minutes before this place becomes a very big firework. Command center is mine, Morrison said. Hey, the base commander wants to negotiate. Through the communication, they could hear Morrison talking to the pirate leader. You have caused me great trouble, human, came an angry alien voice. I am commander. Vexstar of the hegemony fleet. You have cost me ships and slaves. I will make you pay for this. It's the only thing you need to worry about, Morrison replied in his cold voice. It's how many of your people are going to die before we leave. You are surrounded. 20 ships against your one vessel. Surrender now, and I might let your crew live as slaves. Morrison laughed. You still do not understand what you are dealing with, do you? I understand that you are a primitive species, with delusions of grandeur. Let me explain something to you, Morrison said, his voice becoming dangerous. We are humans. We come from a world that spent millions of years trying to kill us. We survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, plagues, and predators that could eat us whole. We turned the most hostile planet in the galaxy into our home. Hey, so what? Vexter snarled. So you and your little pirate operation are just another Tuesday for us. The sound of weapons fire filled the communication channel. When it stopped, Morrison's voice came back. Command center secured. All pirate ships have been locked out of their own weapon systems. How did you do that so fast? Tony asked. I convinced the commander to give me his access codes. Did he cooperate willingly? Eventually. Throughout the station, the humans worked with mechanical efficiency. They freed prisoners who had been held for months. They destroyed weapon stockpiles and computer systems. They captured pirates who tried to fight and sent others running in fear.
Ow!
Prisoners are mobile, Amy reported. I have given them medical treatment and temporary strength boosters. They can walk to the ships. Docking bay is secure, Sophie announced. No ships can launch without our permission. Excellent work, everyone, Morrison said. Time to go home. The rescued prisoners boarded the Liberty's Edge. Veltar watched them carefully. They came from many different species. Some looked like giant insects. Others were covered in fur or scales. A few looked almost like plants that could walk. But they all had the same expression on their faces when they saw the humans helping. Them, it was not fear. It was hope. An elderly alien who looked like a walking tree approached Veltar. Are you with the humans? He asked in a weak voice. We are traveling with them, Veltar replied. They rescued us too. Then you were lucky. I have been prisoner here for 6 months. I thought no one would ever come for us. The humans came, Veltar said. Yes, the humans came. The old alien smiled. I will remember this for the rest of my life. As the Liberty's Edge pulled away from the pirate station, Lisa triggered the power core overload. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. The pirate base and all their stolen ships were destroyed in seconds. It should send a message to other pirates in this sector, Morrison said with satisfaction. But Veltar was thinking about something else. As they traveled toward the nearest safe station, he finally asked the question that had been bothering him. Captain Morrison, may I ask you something personal? Sure, you said your people are refugees, that you lost your homeworld. What happened? To Earth? Morrison was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was full of sadness. Our sun went unstable. Solar flares destroyed most of our technology. The planet became uninhabitable. We had maybe 6 months to evacuate anyone we could. How many of your people escaped? Not many. A few million out of billions. We loaded everyone we could into whatever ships we had and sent them in different directions. The Liberty's Edge and 3 other vessels are all that is left of the second colonial fleet. Veltar felt his heart's breaking. I am so sorry. The worst part, Morrison continued, is that we asked for help. We sent distress calls to every species in the galaxy. We begged the Galactic Council for refugee status. We offered to share our technology, our knowledge, everything we had. What happened? Nothing. No one answered. The Council classified us as a dangerous species and quarantined our system. They left us to die. The communication channel was silent for several minutes. Finally, Amy's voice came through. That is why we help anyone who needs it, because we know what it feels like when no one helps you. As they approached the Galactic Council station, Morrison made one final announcement. Veltar, we are going to drop you and the other rescued prisoners off at the station. Then we have to leave. Where will you go? Somewhere else. Keep looking for a place that will accept us. Maybe someday we will find it. Veltar looked at his crew. They were all thinking the same thing. These humans had saved their lives, asked for nothing in return, and were still being treated as outcasts by the galaxy. Captain Morrison, Veltar said, when we reach the station, I am going to send a message to my government. Okay. And to the Galactic Council. And to every species I know. What kind of message? It's the truth about what humans are really like. About what you did for us. About how wrong we have all been. You do not have to do that. Yes, I do. The galaxy needs to know that humans are not the monsters we thought you were. You are survivors, innovators, and protectors. If we cannot find room in our galaxy for beings who risk their lives to save strangers, then we are the ones who deserve to be called monsters. When they docked at the station, Veltar kept his promise. He sent messages to everyone he could reach. He told them about the humans who saved his ship, fought pirates against impossible odds, and freed dozens of prisoners without asking for anything in return. The response was immediate and surprising. Other species came forward with their own stories of human help, rescue missions, medical aid, protection from raiders, always asking for nothing, always helping those in need. 6 months later, the first human integration protocol passed the Galactic Council by a narrow vote. Captain Jake Morrison and the crew of the Liberty's Edge became the first official human, ambassadors to civilized space. They still kept their tools handy and their coffee strong. After all, old habits from Deathworlders die hard. But now, when distress calls went out across the galaxy, people hoped that humans would be the ones to answer. Because everyone knew that when humans came to help, they brought hope with them.